over a century, a tradition of intercollegiate athletic excellence has been strong in central Nebraska. This is an inside look at that tradition. This is the University of Nebraska-Kearney Loper Review. Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef, from our family to yours.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Loper Review. I'm your host, Randy Bushcutter. A couple years ago, we took a look at Hall of Fame football coach Al Zickman, who has the greatest winning percentage in Loper football history. On this month's program, we put the coach with the most career wins in the spotlight, Claire Boroff. And speaking of spotlights, our senior spotlight features an offensive lineman who not only is in the starting lineup, but on the dean's list as well. All that and more is coming up next after this timeout on Loper Review.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
That school bus is yellow for a reason. Yellow means caution. Those flashing lights are red for a reason. Red means stop.
Hey girl, what's up? Nothing much.
Never pass a stopped school bus. Don't pass from either direction. It's not just the law, it's a child's life.
Brought to you by the University of Nebraska at Kearney, Child Safety Network, School Bus Safety Company, and the Nebraska Safety Center. Keeping Nebraskans safe, one day at a time.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
Welcome back. You know, over the last 60 years, the UNK or Loper football program has had only 3 head coaches. And for 28 years, it was this man, Claire Boroff.
Well, I've always enjoyed football as long as I can remember, even as a youngster. And when I was in Doniphan, Nebraska, I attended school there my freshman and sophomore year, and even at that time I had a yearning to continue in football in some way, and hopefully as a coach. And I think as the years passed, that just was made really clear to me that was the calling for me to coach football. And as I look back over the 40 years that I did that, it was truly a time of great blessings.
From 1972 to 1999, Coach Boroff led the Lopers to 169 wins and retired with a winning percentage of .613. He was also an outstanding player for the Lopers, earning All-American honors as a running back in 1958. A native of Grand Island, Coach Boroff spent years coaching at the high school level, including Kearney High, before becoming an assistant coach for Al Zickman.
Well, I'll tell you. I was at Grand Island for his senior year, and I was so pleased with his intensity in both practice and games. It made no difference. He gave all in practice, and he gave more than all in the games. And he was just consistent and dependable. And that you can't say that for all high school players. Sometimes they're not as dependable as he was, but he was so dependable. Well, the first year he used quite a bit of the stuff that I had used, but then he branched out into some of the different things. And so as he took over, then he developed his own system of wideouts and so on.
I think there's a point in time when you learn from your predecessors. If you don't, you've wasted a lot of time. And I had the good fortune of playing for Coach Zickman and then being able to coach with him. I took his theory class when I was in college, and it was a great preparation for me when I went out into high school. Just the way he organized, everything was very, very precise and took place rapidly, and that was something that I took with me. And I think it was really a positive thing for us. And then, you know, as you go along, you do a lot of the things that you did in college because that's what you understand the best. But over a period of time, things evolve, they change, and the really good thing is the camaraderie that you develop with your players and with your coaches. We always talked about having an impact upon the young men that we worked with, that in some way they had to be better men when they left than when they came. And just to see that materialize, especially in the years that after they graduated and went out into their vocation, and to look how successful so many of them have become, it really does make you feel like maybe you in some way had a small contribution in that.
Our profile of Coach Boroff continues after we take a short time out, so stay with us.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
That school bus is yellow for a reason. Yellow means caution. Those flashing lights are red for a reason. Red means stop.
Hey girl, what's up? Nothing much.
Never pass a stopped school bus. Don't pass from either direction. It's not just the law, it's a child's life.
Brought to you by the University of Nebraska at Kearney, Child Safety Network, School Bus Safety Company, and the Nebraska Safety Center. Keeping Nebraskans safe, one day at a time.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
Our profile of Coach Claire Boroff continues on Loper Review. For all but the last 2 years, Coach Boroff was the head coach. His defensive coordinator was Terry Renner.
But I don't believe that I could have ever had a more dedicated, loyal defensive coordinator than Terry Renner. As I said before, I don't never look back at a time when he didn't coach this program as if it was his own. I mean, he bought into it, and so much of the success we had is attributed to his leadership.
It was an easy arrangement. Claire was an easy man to work for, and it was just kind of all fell into place, I guess.
Well, I was hands off a lot to not only the defensive coaches, but even the offensive coaches. They all had their own positions that they had to coach, and they knew what we had to get done, and I didn't want to be looking over their shoulder. I was coaching a position too, and that made it a challenge. So we just expected all the pieces of the puzzle to come together, and you'd have a really good picture, and if it didn't, then you had to go back and review why not.
Pretty well allowed to do what I felt would be best for our team. one of the things is that Claire just always wanted to be informed, and so we spent a lot of time being informed. I was time, informing him of what I wanted to do and what I thought would be best, and so it was just pretty much, he seemed to have enough confidence that he let me do what he felt like, or what I felt like would be the best for our team.
Marion, Kansas, yeah, we have memories of that. Coach Renner and I and Monty Meadows were on a on a scouting trip, and coming back, we were driving a state vehicle. The license plate was 4848, I'll never forget that. And they thought that they had some culprits that had stolen a vehicle.
And lo and behold, next thing we know, we're pulled over, and he has his gun out, and we're down on the highway getting handcuffed and all of that. And he mistakenly thought that we were escaped convicts from Leavenworth Prison. And the thing that made it the perfect storm is that our license plate was a state of Nebraska license plate, was just exactly the same license plate number that those guys, when they broke out, they stole a pickup, and the two license plates were exactly the same. So he was pretty well convinced he had three real desperados, Claire and I and a graduate assistant. And so it was an interesting experience, to say the least.
Well, we still are good friends. He has grandchildren now playing in various high schools, football and volleyball, but whenever he sees me, he always comes over and we have a visit. We don't talk especially about some of the things that happened in the football field, but we talk about our kids and our family and looking to the future. He was a good citizen when he was young, and he believed in the same thing that I did. So that was something that, he just fit right into the picture, and that was what made it a pretty easy transition across.
That the one thing that was always the same and was very, very important is that Claire was always concerned about the welfare of our players. Not only was he concerned about when they were playing for us and how they were playing for us, but also when they had finished playing. And he had just a tremendous legacy of former players out throughout the whole United States that not only were good players, but really have become very, very good people, very successful in their businesses. And for Claire, the thing was that we're going to treat our players with respect. We're going to treat them with dignity, and he expected the same back. And for the most part, over those 30 years, we pretty much accomplished that.
I didn't know. I just put that in the hands of the Lord, and we did the best job that we could. We had some really good years, some that were average and some that were below average, but, for the most part, I don't remember too much about the bad ones, but I remember the good ones. And as I said, I just keep coming back to the point that the young men and the coaches that you associate with, it makes it possible pretty much to walk through anything.
Coach Boroff was inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame at UNK back in 1987 for his success on the football field as well as track and field. It's time for us to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll sit down in our senior spotlight with a man that's got potential Hall of Fame credentials both on the field and in the classroom. Our own DJ Johnson will talk with Cole Manhart when we come back right after this.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today. Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
That school bus is yellow for a reason. Yellow means caution. Those flashing lights are red for a reason. Red means stop.
Hey girl, what's up? Nothing much.
Never pass a stopped school bus. Don't pass from either direction. It's not just the law, it's a child's life.
Brought to you by the University of Nebraska at Kearney, Child Safety Network, School Bus Safety Company, and the Nebraska Safety Center. Keeping Nebraskans safe, one day at a time.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
Welcome back to Loper Review. Time now for our senior spotlight, and it's my pleasure to have as our guest Cole Manhart, who is a senior offensive lineman for the football team. And Cole is also a member of the Innocence Society and made the Dean's List for his academic efforts. And Cole, I think first off, will take care of the elephant in the room. Things aren't going that well for the football team this season. What is the challenge for you as a captain to kind of keep the ship upright?
You know, the challenge for us on a daily basis is to just keep everyone together. We knew coming into this season that we were going to be fighting an uphill battle, and we have enough self-motivated guys on the team that come to practice every day. That's not a problem. Guys want to come every day, get better, and we're all fighting for the same purpose. We want to get that first W, and I think we're all still pretty focused on that goal right now.
You were the only player who was a unanimous choice for All-Conference last year. Preseason All-American this year. Has that translated into any extra pressure for you, any extra attention from opponents, that sort of thing?
I think last year, gathering those honors and everything, it just changed the way that teams had to play our offense because I was in different positions and they had to respect, you know, me in the backfield playing halfback or up front playing left tackle, and I think that did change the way teams had to play me. I don't think they think anything different of me when they have to play me because there are a lot of high caliber players in this conference, and I'm just another one that they have to face every Saturday.
Haven't seen you in the backfield position this year. I think Coach Morris kind of has it in the works. That would make you an eligible receiver, but he has indicated that there's no plan whatsoever of throwing you the football. Have you been working with him, trying to work on him a little bit to get that ball in your hands?
Yes, sir, a little bit. You know, every day I'm out there, you know, advocating to get the ball. It's every guy's dream to get the ball, especially a big guy. We don't get to touch it very often, but make the most of it when we do.
When you've talked to the scouts, what are they looking for? What's going to be the types of things that really raise your stock?
From talking to them, it's a lot about future potential. Are you a hard worker? Are you not giving up on plays? Do you play hard to the whistle every play? And I feel like both Pete and myself are those type of players. That's just the type of players at this institution and the way we've been coached by Coach Morris.
How much response do you get from other members on the team? Do any of them say, hey, thank you for at least getting our film, because they're on their films too in the eyes of NFL scouts?
Yes, sir. You know, the same thing happened when Steve Gooden was here. When you have scouts like that come through, it brings a lot of attention to other players on your team. And I think that means a lot to me, is that by bringing some of those scouts here, it brings attention to some of the other really great players that we have on our team, so they get exposure as well.
Well, enough about football. You have achieved virtually as much at the same level academically. Talk a little bit about the Innocence Society. That is the cream of the crop academically for the University of Nebraska, whether it's Lincoln, Omaha, or Kearney. And what was your response when you found out that you were invited to join the Innocence?
I was just very excited to be able to join that organization because it was really just a culmination of the hard work that I had done in the classroom. A lot of people get to see the hard work that we do on the field, but they don't get to see the time that we spend in study hall and at home working on homework and everything. So to be able to achieve that, it meant a lot to me personally, and it meant a lot to my family that I wasn't only just an athlete, but a student athlete. My major is criminal justice. I'll be graduating in December of 2014, here in a couple months. After this, I'd ideally like to practice for the law school entrance exam and possibly take the LSAT and apply to law school. What's really interested me from my criminal justice degree is criminal law, and I think that is something that really intrigues me.
When you do have free time, what are some things you like to do?
Oh, in my free time, I like to hang out with my fellow offensive linemen, Cody Wheeler, Pete Troush, Jake Spees, and we go out to eat, we go hunting, watch movies, hang out, just spend time away from the game, just building that camaraderie that we use on Saturdays. But just getting to know those guys better has really been a great time in college, and I've really enjoyed that.
You guys go to local buffets, do they kind of lock the door on you or kind of try to pretend they're not open?
Yeah, we get some very interesting responses going to buffets around Kearney whenever all of us walk in, and it's pretty funny to see the response of people in there. But yeah, we've hit up about every buffet in town.
You had your hair pretty long over the summer. What was the motivation for that? Tell us a little bit about the hair experience.
Right. I grew out my hair with the intention of donating it to Locks of Love. I had a friend in high school who had passed away from cancer, and that's why I wear the number 64. And I grew it out long enough that I was able to donate it to the Kearney Cancer Foundation. So that's why I grew my hair out.
Well, excellent. I'm glad I brought that up. Just to wrap things up, as you look back at your time here at UNK, what are some of the things, a couple of the main things that you're going to remember the most and value the most as you go on to your adult life?
I think one of the things that I'm going to value the most is the relationships that I've been able to build with people here. I'm from Denver, Colorado, so coming to a new community was a bit scary for me, but the way the Kearney area and community has accepted me and taken me in and treated me as one of their own, and I really feel like I have a family here, a family for the rest of my life, and I'm just excited to take the life lessons that I've learned here and move forward with them.
Well, I think I can safely say that it works both ways, that the UNK and the community of Kearney has been proud that you've been here and glad that you've been a Loper, and good luck in the future.
Thank you.
Cole Manhart on our Senior Spotlight. Loper Review will continue in just a moment.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
You're watching the Nebraska Star Beef Loper Review.
Welcome back. Last month, we took a look at some of the success of the Charlie Foster era during Antelope 101. Well, this month, we continue that series as our host, Nikki Thompson, will take a look at some of the successes of teams coached by Charlie Foster and by folks that Charlie Foster hired.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Antelope 101, as we continue our series looking at the Hall of Fame career of coach and athletic director Charlie Foster. Last month, we saw how Coach Foster set the stage for Loper's success in the post-war era, and this month we take a closer look at that success. As we mentioned last month, when Charlie Foster came to Kearney in 1946, he was the football coach, basketball coach, track coach, and for 1 year, the golf coach. He would step aside from basketball in 1950 and then coached his last football game in 1952. However, he would stay on as track coach for 25 years. Of all the coaches he hired over 2 decades, perhaps the busiest was Les Livingston Sr. From 1956 to 1966, he was head coach for basketball, golf, and tennis, while also being an assistant coach for football. From 67 to 74, he was still the golf and tennis coach and football assistant. He would continue to lead the tennis team until 1978 and the golf team until 1981. Livingston has the distinction of being the Antelope basketball coach when Cushing Coliseum opened in 1961, ending several seasons when Copeland Hall's undersized court forced the team to play home games at area high school gyms. While Les Livingston would be the school's busiest coach during the first decade and a half following World War II, there's no arguing that winningest coach was Charlie Foster. His track teams won the first 3 Nebraska College Conference championships in 1947, 48, and 49. And although they went 4 years without finishing first, they would be back on top every year from 1954 to 1970. Did I say there was no arguing about Coach Foster being the school's winningest coach in post-war years? Actually, a good case could be made for football coach Al Zickman. Starting with his first team in 1955 that went 8-2 and played in the Botany Bowl in Shenandoah, Iowa, Coach Zickman would become, and remains, the coach with the best winning percentage in team history at almost 80%. That Botany Bowl win had an impact on Kearney campus in a very tangible, if not especially exciting way. Since the game was played in very cold and unpleasant weather, the attendance was extremely low. That meant no cash to be paid to the teams. To make up for it the following spring, the Earl May Company, based in Shenandoah then, as it is today, sent a truckload of trees and shrubs to Kearney. Presumably, at least some of the trees are still here today. Next month, we'll wrap up our series featuring Coach Foster by taking a look at what could be called his second career at Kearney State, when he started the women's track team that would become famous as Charlie's Angels. Hope to see you then.
Well, that will wrap up our show for this month, but before we go, we want to leave you with some of the sights and sounds of the UNK Homecoming Parade as presented by Steph Galloway of the UNK Creative Services Department. I'm Randy Bushcutter. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back again next month with another edition of Loper Review. Until then, see ya and go Lopers.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.